Hello guys and girls, I am back with another YouTube video, and today we're going to talk about a topic known as the Islamic State, formerly known as ISIS or the Islamic State. Basically what they are is a group of Islamic extremists who are pushing a caliphate. They believe everything should be run under Sharia law, and if anything is, not in accordance with Muslim rules or anything like that, then they're basically going to put an end to that. That's what they're basically pushing for. Most of them, every single one of them is a terrorist. ISIS is a confirmed terrorist group by all the allied nations. They're a known terrorist group to the UN, to NATO, to all of that. So they're not a new group per se, but they're new as far as media coverage. The U.S. has known about the ISIS for a very long time, and in fact, that's very confusing because, well, you say, well, if they've known about them for a very long time, why does this come to such a surprise to the intelligence officials? Well, that's because we don't really have the best government when it comes to bureaucracy. There's a bunch of paperwork that's involved just to get this to happen, and then there's more paperwork to get that to happen to get this to happen. So it's all about the paperwork, and people aren't really good about paperwork. Over the years, we've kind of gotten more into other things. We're more concerned not really about terrorism now. Well, until this point anyway. We weren't concerned about terrorism. Now we're super concerned with terrorism. Getting a little tongue-tied. They get most of their money from the black market, from selling all of the countries that they've invaded. They've invaded Syria, Iraq. It all started in Iraq. That's where it just exploded. And when the Iraqi army, they're not doing a good job at all. For anybody to say that the Iraqi army has done a good job, no, they haven't. No, they have not. The only people that have really had any major victories over ISIS in Iraq is the Kurds, and those are in the northern part of Iraq. They're not taking any of their crap, basically. Even from the Iraqis, they just kind of said, hey, don't do that, or else we're going to kill you. So the Kurds, they don't play around. They're a lot of their money comes from volunteer groups. Their funding comes from different nations, all of that. So they're the good guys, I guess you could say. As well, there's also, though, with the Kurds, there's also the concern that they might try to split from Iraq, but I don't really think that's going to happen. I've heard that theory put in before, but I don't really think the Kurds are going to try to split from Iraq. I think they, we'll have to wait to see how that one plays out. I don't really have too much of an opinion on that one. I don't really think anything's going to come of it, but, I can understand why somebody would want to put a watchful eye on it. So, let's see here. Airstrikes. All for them. Airstrikes are one of the most, we have thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands upon thousands of munitions laying around in stockyards. Why not use them? Perfect place to try out new airplanes, all of that. It's a perfect area that we can go in, we can pit airstrikes without having to put boots on the ground, per se. I'm totally opposed to any boots on the ground at all. It's not going to help, especially because ISIS doesn't do modern warfare. They do guerrilla warfare. They're not really for pushing against a person or a thing. They set up traps. They're terrorists is what they are. They don't mind killing civilians, and that's one of the bad things about the group. Obviously, well, pretty much everything about the group is absolutely horrendous, but they fight in the form of terrorism. That's one of their main calling points, and obviously that's not a good thing. So I can see why airstrikes are being used. I'm completely all for them, as many as they want to do. There's also this thing, I know you have Australia, France, Britain, and I'm not sure about Germany. I don't think Germany's done any quite yet. They might have. I'm not sure about that. I don't keep up with Germany. But I know France, Britain, and Australia, they've all done airstrikes in Syria and Iraq, or not Syria, but in Iraq. They're pushing them really hard, and I like that. Usually whenever the U.S. goes into a conflict, especially now in modern times, they're only really backed up by Britain. But to see that they're backed up from France, Australia, and all these other small nations is a big calling point. That hey, the rest of the world, we ain't gonna put up with this. We don't like ISIS. We're here and we're gonna fight for a common ground. So, not on the ground, obviously. One thing that really strikes that's weird in my mind is how they're killing all these reporters. It doesn't make any sense. There's groups that the Taliban, Al Qaeda, they all allowed reporters to freely go and report them. And that's weird to a lot of people, especially the intelligence community, because this has really never happened before. A terrorist group has really never gone out and killed reporters openly. I mean, there's been occurrences, but it's nothing like the Taliban doesn't do that. The Al Qaeda doesn't do that. There's not many terrorist groups that go out and actively kill and seek reporters, which is something that ISIS does. And it comes as a surprise because usually these terrorist groups want the coverage. They want people to see what they're fighting for, all of that, but it's weird, and it's blowing my mind because it's really never happened before on a scale such as this. There's been 3 or 4 reporters killed already, and I'm sure there's many more that are going to come unless we do something about it. But as well, there's also been the spreading of the group. It's getting really big really fast, and it's not regular people who are joining, it's terrorists. That's all they are, is terrorists, complete terrorists. There's people from Taliban joining, there's people from Al Qaeda joining, there's people from the Free Syrian Army that are joining. And, I think it's funny that Barack Obama and all these people, they passed a law where they're going to fund the moderate Syrian rebels. Moderate. No, not really. Completely opposed to that at all. That's the most ridiculous thing at all. The only people we should be arming is ourselves. We don't need to be sending any weapons to any other country. I mean, that's completely idiotic and stupid on the U.S.'s part. That's completely unacceptable to me, anyway. It's not really going to do anything. They're rebels. They're not going to use them to fight ISIS as they should. They're going to use them to fight Assad, which is the dictator of Syria. They're going to use them to fight Israel. They're going to use them to fight, all these people around them. It's not going to help a damn thing, quite honestly. I like this one comparison. I think it's a lot of people are jumping on the religion of Islam and all of that, but these people, like especially normal Muslims that just go around, live day to day, they think these people are absolutely retarded. Like ISIS, they think they're absolutely retarded. And I heard this really good analogy the other day. It was a comparison of Christianity to the Westboro Baptist Church. Whenever you think of Christians, you don't think of the Westboro Baptist Church. Like the Westboro Baptist Church is a complete, utterly, they associate themselves with Christian, but they're not Christian, if that makes any sense. And that's a really good comparison to me because, the Muslims aren't to blame. It's ISIS. They're complete radicals in the minds of regular Muslims. Like anybody who's joins ISIS, anything like that, they're radicals. That's what they are. You don't blame the Muslim people. Blame the radicals. And that's something I stand beside because there's a lot of Muslims out there. They're perfectly fine people. They're natural. They're human. All of that. These people in the Westboro Baptist Church and ISIS, they're not human. So, to say that, all Muslims should die because look what they're doing to the country, that's a complete idiotic statement that you just made. You can't just go around saying that. That's not all right. It's not true. It's not factual. And the fact that you are saying that is just very ignorant of yourself. But anyway, they're not, the arming of the Syrian rebels, they're not going to get anywhere. It's not going to do anything. It's not going to help anything. It might pit back a few advances of the Islamic State, but the only way that we're really going to have to go and deal with this problem, airstrikes, maybe, a couple of boots on the ground by the means of special forces to go and rescue these reporters. I would very much like to see that because the Green Berets, they would love to go in there and rescue all those reporters, but because of the media, all of this, they're unacceptable of the boots on the ground, and so am I. I completely understand that. But I wouldn't be necessarily opposed to special forces operations or small man teams infiltrating into ISIS and rescuing those people that we need. Well, that's pretty much all I got to talk about this. I want to hear your opinions in the comment section below. This is a very interesting topic to me, as most of the things are in history and all that. Very interested to see how this is going to turn out. So yeah, make sure you leave a comment, like, subscribe, all of that.